guess what? We're starting all over again. Welcome to the El Cajon City Council meeting. We have resumed our normal meeting format and comply with state laws. We invite the public to join us in person to make comments about any items on the agenda, including public comments. The meeting is called to order, and I'd like to ask our city clerk to call the roll.
All council members are present.
Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a brief moment of silence? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we continue with today's agenda, I'd like to make a quick announcement. I'm excited to share that the city will be holding the State of the City next month on Tuesday, December 14th at 6:30 p.m. following the City Council meeting that day. The in-person event will be held in the Ronald Reagan Center and will be held in a similar manner as it was prior to the pandemic. We hope you will all join us for this exciting event, and we reflect on the accomplishments of the past year and look forward to the next year ahead. More information will come in the weeks ahead. Postcard invitations are available in the chamber and the City Hall lobby. The city clerk has posted orders of adjournment of the October 26, 2021 meeting and the agenda of the November 9th, 2021 meeting in accordance with state law, council, and housing authority policy. Staff, do you have any agenda changes?
No, sir.
How about council members? All right. We have 3 presentations on today's agenda. I'd like to invite Chief Steve Swaney and Captain Timmons to introduce the new station dog, Jax, to us. I'm excited about this.
Thank you, Mayor. As they're coming down, also Engineer Saffers here as part of the presentation. I just want to acknowledge that we also have board members from the Fire Labor Association, as well as some of our fire staff that are here on their day off. That kind of tells you how important this is. So with that, Chief.
Hey, Chief.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Welcome.
How are you today?
Great.
I'm here today before you to introduce Travis Timmons and Brandon Saffer and Jax, the new station dog. But before I do that, I would like to say thank you to the council and to city leadership, Mr. Mitchell and the HR director, Marisol Thorne, about bringing this program forward. I've been in the fire service and the EMS service for almost 4 decades. And when I first started in this business, it was, for lack of a better term, rub some dirt on it, you'll be okay. We just went home and we didn't deal with things. And so for this city to embrace the mental health and the wellness aspect of the industry and get out in front of things is huge. And by doing this, there's lots of dog programs out there. I was the benefit of having a search dog with me for about 21 years, so I saw the effects of it personally. But to have these dogs in the station versus a handler, walking around with a dog and kind of maybe the stigma that creates, this really sets this program aside as one of a kind in the county. And there's not very many of them using a station dog concept. So I would like to thank the city and the leadership for getting out in front of that and really making things better for the men and women of the fire department. So with that, I'll have the station dog coordinators come up, and I will turn it over to them, and you can ask them questions and maybe meet the dog. So with that.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, City Council, for having me back here again. My name is Travis Timmons. I'm a captain with Heartland Fire Rescue here in El Cajon. I'm also the station dog coordinator for the program, and I was here 2 years ago introducing the program initially, and the whole idea behind the program, like Chief already mentioned, was it's a mental wellness program for the firefighters. We all know there's tons of information out there about the heart health and about the mental health of having a dog around, and there's other wellness programs that that fire departments have with station dogs, but those dogs will typically go home with handlers. What sets us aside is that these dogs live at the station 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All of our crews have access to them when they're at work. From the huge incidents that happen all the way down just to the little day-to-day, one call after another, exhaustion type, stress relief that they need, they walk back in the door and the dogs are here for them. So that's kind of the intent of the program. And when we started this program, it started off as a pilot program. So we wanted to do a year of this program to make sure it's going to actually do what we wanted it to do, and not just say, oh, these dogs work, we think. So it's hard because a lot of it's subjective information. It's hard to get, when feelings are involved, it's hard to get objective information, but we did do a few surveys, and I'd like just to give you some of the results we got from the survey. So we have 24 members at Station 6 where Yara is living, so we surveyed them, and I'll give you just some answers here. That having Yara at the station is a positive experience. 100% of the 24 agreed or strongly agreed that that's the case. 100% either agreed or strongly agreed that having Yara at the station reduces their overall stress at work. The work environment has improved with Yara's presence at the station. Again, 100% either agreed or strongly agreed to that. And then we had a part where they could give comments, and we got answers of it's calming, enjoyable to have her at the station. I believe overall crew morale has improved here with her. She always spreads love, even in tough, stressful days. And then what I kept getting over and over on this survey and just talking to guys as well is this one says, I get really excited to come to work and see Yara in the morning. Another one similar is, she always brings a smile to my face when I show up for work. So multiple people have said that specifically about showing up to work and having a smile on their face. I think big corporations spend millions of dollars to try to figure out how to get their employees to smile when they're at work, and we're doing it with a dog. So it's a huge success, so much so that we voted on and wanted to get a second dog for a second station. And in the last 8 months, we've been working with our trainer from Virginia, and he has shown up 2 days ago from Virginia with his trainer here. And if you guys want to stand up. So we have Yara and the new station dog, Jax, here at the station, at the city now. And these are our two dogs. And so one's at Station 6 and one's at Station 8. And so that's where they're living permanently. And one more thing, I just want to kind of piggyback on what Chief Swiney said and just thank you guys for all your support for this. There are only a handful of programs like this around the United States. We mentioned how most of the other programs are ran. I think 4 or 5 or maybe 6 at this point have full 24 hours a day station dogs. And every single one of those programs, the firefighters have to either pay out of their pocket or they have to get donations. So the city, we want to thank you because you guys fully support this program for us. Good dogs.
You guys want to go picture. See Jackson? We go. Okay.
So El Cajon is the only city that fully supports this program and doesn't make their firefighters pay for it or get donations or try to struggle to make the program keep going. And so from the labor group side of it, we just want to thank you guys fully for that. Oh, yeah, and our trainer, Olivia came out from Virginia. They flew in yesterday as well.
Hi, Olivia.
So Olivia works with the founder of the organization Sit Means Sit, and they train service dogs and therapy dogs for military members and first responders. So it's a great program. And that's it. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. You have any questions
there's probably
for us?
some questions.
Yeah.
I can see everybody wants to ask questions. Michelle, you want to start? Or?
So I just want to let you know that Sit Means Sit is a great organization. A former coworker of mine is with the founder of the Sit Means Sit, Kristen. Yeah. And I've been watching their program, and I know that they do a really great, wonderful job with the dogs. I wish I had a dog that was, or maybe you guys can train cats. Yeah, who trains cats anyway? I'm really happy that we're able to provide these dogs for you guys. It's really important that you're happy, because if you're happy on your job, then you're going to do a better job for our community. And so let's work on maybe getting one for every station eventually.
Is there a plan for expanding the program?
We're taking it one at a time. I mean, we have to see each station is a different setup. There's a different, busyness to each station, and so we're right now we're focusing on Station 8, and then we're going to go from there. I mean, thanks for asking. The future, that is part of to look at that for the future. I also wanted to mention, too, that there's currently 3 other neighboring departments who I'm working with. They're trying to set up a program exactly like ours, and I've talked to a few departments out of state as well to help them. So it's catching on, and it seems, I think cities rightly so, have a big worry about liability. You know, obviously there's tons of things that can go wrong, but if you look at it from that standpoint, it'll never happen. You got to look at it from what's the benefit, and we personally think the benefit far outweighs any small negative that can happen. I mean, it's a little bit more work, but we have policies in place, we have insurance, you know, we have training that goes involved. So we're not just stuffing a dog into the station and saying, good luck, have fun. You know, it's a thought out program that we've been working on, and we understand the city worries about liability, and we try to cover that as much as possible. And other cities are seeing that worry is not, it's not a worry that they have to just say no right away to. They can actually try out these programs and see some good success because of us.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So these dogs are at 2 different stations.
Yep.
Do firefighters rotate through the stations so they all get an opportunity to interact with these dogs?
Right, yeah. So we have 3 different shifts. So each day, one of the 3 shifts is on, and that's what makes us unique, is that these dogs don't have a single handler. So everyone's trained on the day-to-day with them, and then they get handed off in the morning for the next person.
And so firefighters that are at stations without a dog, would they eventually get rotated to that station?
Yeah, we work so much in between stations that everyone here has worked with Yara over the last 2 years multiple times, and everyone's comfortable. And so now they'll get the same opportunity with Jax.
Yeah, I'm glad that this program's working out, and that Marisol in the back, thank you so much for your research and partnering, and it's been a success story. I have a lot of friends who are firefighters and first responders and Marines, and I see a similarity between Marines and firefighters, in that Marines are told, get the job done, and here's no resources, and they just get the job done. And I see a lot of similarities with firefighters as well. They don't complain. You guys just get the job done, and I have tremendous amounts of respect. So if we can support you in any way to take some of that burden once you complete the mission off of you, we're willing to do that. So thank you for everything.
Thank you.
In the business world, payroll is on the expense side of all the financial statements. But I'm glad to see that city staff sees you all as an asset on the balance sheet, and you invest in your assets to keep the assets doing what they're supposed to do for you. So, Marisol, great job. This is, and thank you all firefighters for embracing this. That's the other half of the equation, is it's got to be offered, but you have to say yes. So I think it's great that city staff has viewed you all as assets to keep reinvesting in, to keep you at your best.
Yeah, we think it's great too. Thank you.
Well, I know the job that you guys have is really stressful, both mentally and physically. And I know when I come home and I got 2 dogs that run to me, makes me feel a lot better. The stress kind of melts away. So I think this is just an absolutely great program, and I'd like to see it expanded.
Thank you.
Thank you. I agree with what everybody said.
Okay.
And please bring her back to visit.
Oh, yeah, anytime. All right.
Sometime. All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Next, we have a presentation from EDCO. I'd like to introduce General Manager Carl Schramm and Environmental Coordinator Patrick Osio to present the EDCO Recycling Awards. It's Sherbaum, actually. How you doing, Carl? Nice to see you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thanks for having us here today.
Good.
And it's always tough following a presentation about dogs. I feel very at home today because I'm second when I come home to my 2 dogs. So, but really happy to be here today to talk about some really great performers, businesses in our community that really made some great strides towards improving their recycling and in their diversion. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Patrick Osio. We have a little PowerPoint we'll move through here.
Hi, Patrick.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Thanks for having us. say. I've never been up here before, so we truly appreciate the work that's many of our customers and people here in the city that have been striving towards recycling and diversion ever since we took over in January or assumed the role. And there are definitely a lot of organizations that really stand out, but there are two in particular that we really thought were worthy. And there are many worthy, but there are two in particular. So I guess we can take a look at the slideshow here really quick. Just a couple of slides here.
Patrick, can you pull your microphone down?
Sure. I don't
Here.
know if we have control of this. There we go. Can I say anything, Paul?
Absolutely. So Patrick's our environmental coordinator here, and we have Steve South, our CEO, as well as John Borges here today as well. And really, as we rolled out this program, which the City of El Cajon liked to note that they're the first one to have a bundled package to our businesses out there. And so that means that we started first of the year with trash, recycling, our blue container, and then also organics that goes to our anaerobic digester, right? And so many times you can deliver it, but then you need to really work on participation. And it's a compliment to Patrick being our sustainability coordinator. In fact, on Friday, he sent me a picture of him inside of a dumpster throwing stuff around and looking to see really what the waste stream is and out there working with the businesses to really right-size them and educate them about what can go in those containers and migrate and right-size them, level out their trash expense and really migrate towards recycling and drive diversion. And they've done a great job with two of these businesses. And so we could move to the next slide here. And you can see this is Artesia condominiums, Prescott companies. And you can look at the difference between 2020 and 2021. And refuse, a 42.86% improvement, right? And so we recognize that we can't achieve that without the business's involvement and their engagement, and then the educational piece, and to really also look at their overall costs too. And so we'd like to recognize Artesia and Prescott companies today. So next slide here. All right, and here's the EDCO Recycling All-Stars Award, and we like to call them up. There's a representative from Artesia and Prescott. Congratulations. Yep. All right, next slide. All right, the next one's Taylor Guitars, and as you know, it's a very large campus, and Taylor has a long history here in El Cajon, and Patrick, as well as John Borges, who's sitting here as well, did a thorough waste audit of all the materials that come in and out of Taylor Guitars, and really were able to handle almost all their materials and really improve their diversion by a tremendous amount and offer them a lot of convenience in terms of the services that EDCO offers. So you can see this resulted in a 56.34% improvement. And it included things like wood sawdust and your typical recyclables, but we're able to incorporate those all into our service base, make it convenient for them to recycle, and they're really engaged in the process. So congratulations to Taylor Guitar. We can ask a representative to come up from Taylor Guitar. Anybody's here? Well, it looks like they didn't make it, but a round of applause for them. Thank you. I think that's all we have.
Thank you very much.
Any questions or comments before we wrap up?
I just want to thank Patrick. He's out here all the time. And I appreciate that. You're doing a great job in educating the public. I've been recycling since the 70s, back in the hippie days. And, I'm just really glad that we're seeing more and more people hopping on board, doing their recycling. I've got my grandchildren doing the recycling. They know better than to put something in the recycling that should go in the trash and vice versa. So thank you so much for being a part of this community. I know you guys came on board. recently, and you're doing a great job. So keep up the good work. Keep up the contact with the businesses. I have talked to a couple of businesses that, had some issues with billing and alike, but I know that you have resolved that issue for one company, and I've encouraged them to contact you to have someone come out and do a survey or, an audit to see if they can be helped. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Carl, do you think the increase in diversion has something to do with your promotion of your anaerobic digester facility, because wood that may have gone in the trash before now goes into a diversion?
Yeah, absolutely. And we did a pretty robust education and outreach program on that, and appreciate those comments, because you really have to do a lot in terms of education up front, but then also the site visits and really walking through what can go in there. Because organics is really not just your yard trimmings and food waste like many people think, but really Senate Bill 1383 covers anything that is produced from a plant, right? And so we want to avoid putting that in the landfill. And so that continuous education and then more so the engagement that Patrick's been doing is really what's getting it done.
Great.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I just want to thank you. Doing a great job. We all appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. Okay. For our last presentation, I'll invite City Manager Graham Mitchell to tell us about the We Are One committee.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Back in 2019, Vince and I actually had a chance to interact with all of city staff, and we called it the, what do we call it again? Something tour. Oh, Value and Cultures Tour. Sorry, the Value and Cultures Tour. And we just wanted, and we actually had about 17 different meetings. We did a lot of brainstorming sessions. And one of the things that we heard over and over again is that many of our staff, although we work directly in the community, a lot of our staff doesn't get to work in the community as much as they would like, and they don't feel as connected to the community as they would like to feel connected. And because we are so spread out and we do so many different things, from fire and police services to accounting services, that a lot of times our staff didn't interact. So we were looking for an opportunity to get our staff to interact with each other. And out of that came this internal staff committee called We Are One. And the goal is to connect the city staff with the community that we serve and also with each other. So with that, I want to invite up the chair of that committee, Selena Battisti, who, and she's bringing up a team, she's bringing up her team. And we just wanted to provide a quick overview of some of the things that we've been doing over the short period of time.
Hi.
Good
Welcome.
afternoon, Mayor Wells and Council. We really appreciate your time this afternoon. Again, my name is Selena Battisti, and I am a human resources analyst here with the city, and I'm also the chair of the We Are One committee. We want to share this afternoon a little bit about the committee and also some of the things that we've had the opportunity to do already in the community. As Graham mentioned, the community was birthed out of the Values and Cultures Tour. I know I was one of those people, and I'm sure many of us were, where we wanted to connect more with the community outside of our regular job duties, as well as with each other. I was actually really surprised to find out how many employees don't actually know each other, and from HR, we get to meet with pretty much every employee, and I was really surprised to find out how many employees didn't know each other from department to department. So some of the past projects that we've had the opportunity to do were various street cleanups, and the committee's been working for about a year or a couple of years with a huge break in the middle due to COVID. But we have had the opportunity to do various street cleanups, and this summer we did a collaboration with Caltrans, cleaning up some of the on and off ramps right here off the 8 in El Cajon. We did a Fun in the Sun summer camp with our recreation department, where kids from the communities would come to the summer camps, and representatives from each department came for a morning, and we created presentations and games that we could explain to the kids what each of our departments did, as well as drive the lesson home with a fun activity. We gave Wells Park Recreation Center a fresh coat of paint. we had the opportunity to participate in a dog park build at Hillside Park. And in September, we did a special event. It was a back-to-school supply drive, which is really the focus of our talk today. We took a survey in early spring asking our employees what kind of service events were near and dear to their hearts. And one of those types of events at the top of their list was to serve our local schools here in the Valley. So we reached out to Cajon Valley Union School District and asked them if there were any opportunities where we could serve. And they gave us the name of two schools, Naranka and Anza Elementary Schools, that they considered these schools underserved, meaning there was not at that time other groups or organizations working with them to help fill some of the gaps that might be there. As a side note, simultaneously and separately, California Coast Credit Union here in El Cajon also reached out to the city manager's office and expressed that they would also like to collaborate with the city on volunteer events, that their employees had similar desire to get more invested in the community where they served. So this was actually a great opportunity for us to collaborate with them on this drive to kind of add a little bit more support for these schools. So as you'll see from these next few slides, the list was very specific, and we appreciated that very much. Only these teachers know what these kids need and what's missing from the classrooms. We had a list, everything from pencils and crayons, PE equipment, science experiment materials, everything listed on each one of these few slides here were items that we actually collected during the drive. One of the biggest needs that actually both schools expressed, and it was actually something I was surprised to hear, probably because I take it for granted every day, is that they needed refillable water bottles for all of the kids. Because of the pandemic, the fountains at the schools have been shut down since the early start of the pandemic, and while filling stations were made available, a lot of these kids didn't have water bottles to bring back and forth from home every day. And also, being kids, they forget. We're talking, kindergartners, to sixth graders, so they forget. And I'm happy to say that through this drive, we were able to provide those water bottles to every student that was represented. At Naranka, that's 750 plus students, and at Anza, that's 500 plus students each received a water bottle of their own to keep at school. Our combined efforts collected approximately $4,000 in cash and supplies. Cash donations were used to purchase the bigger ticket items that weren't previously purchased from the list. And I want to say a special thank you to our donors, City of El Cajon, California Coast Credit Union El Cajon branch, our El Cajon Police Officers Association, and last but not least, of course, the employees of the City of El Cajon and the California Coast Credit Union. Our combined efforts really made a difference, and I'm really excited to show the next few slides. Because of COVID restrictions, not everybody was able to come and help us drop off the supplies, and so the employees that participated haven't seen these next few slides, so I'm really excited to show them. The day that we went to deliver, Anza Elementary School had this great thank you for us on their marquee, and on the next slide, the next few slides, you'll get to see their response. So these are some excited kids showing off their brand new water bottles in their school colors with a little area on them where they can write their names. So these water bottles are theirs. Thank you, California. So if you can't really see from that video, but the kids are holding up these really cute hand-shaped highlighters, one of the items that were provided by California Coast, and each finger on the highlighter is a different color. And if I was a kid and I received something like that, I would think I had a pretty cool new toy. So there you go. really glad that the principals were able to send us those videos. The employees haven't gotten to see that, so I'll be emailing those out to everyone, so they, the ones that didn't have a chance to come today can see those. But before we, I want to introduce the committee, but before I do that, I just want to personally thank the council and our executive team for supporting the committee. We want to create opportunities that are meaningful to the community and to our employees. And from an HR perspective, employee wellness is important to us. And as it was said earlier, we've been working with the council on various wellness initiatives, just like Jackson Yara. And this committee is also a type of wellness. Besides engagement, the We Are One committee provides a synergistic wellness component where when we do these events, we feel energized and we feel like we have a greater purpose. And employees that are more engaged are less sick, less stressed, more focused, and productive. And participation in these events is completely voluntary. Because oftentimes employees, in order to participate, may have to do this outside of working hours. So the employees who choose to participate are not only affecting the quality of life for our community, but also potentially for themselves. Dorothy Height said, "Without community service, we would not have a strong quality of life. It's important to the person who serves as well as the recipient. It's a way in which we ourselves grow and develop." And I think this expresses a beautiful picture of how helping others and wellness can really go hand in hand. And I know it's not an HR initiative, but I'm just saying after doing the various events we've had the opportunity to do, and then to see these kids' excitement, I mean, just them excited about their water bottles and their highlighters, I mean, that makes me feel great to see what our efforts have produced. And so I thank the council and our executive team for your continued support with the committee. And so HR hat off, We Are One committee hat back on. This is some of our committee members here. We represent 7 of the 11 departments in the city, and we do monthly meetings and kind of brainstorm various events, and we advertise all of our events via email strictly. And with that being said, we also want to let you know how to get in touch with us if any members of the community have opportunities for us to serve. You can email us at weareone@elcajon.gov, and that's it.
Well, thank you so much. Did you want to introduce everybody?
Sure. We have Elsie Wright over here on my left, Autumn Rieberger, Julie Alon, Katrina Steppett, and Dorothy Cook. And we all represent various departments in the city.
Thanks for doing all this. That's really great. Questions or comments?
I just want to thank you all for doing this. We have a lot of people who say, oh, El Cajon gets worse every day. But you are an example of what El Cajon can be and is already. You go out there and you're representing the city, but you're working with the community. And if more people would just be more community-minded, we could solve a lot of problems here. And I know, everyone's always saying, oh, well, what about the homeless? Well, what about the homeless? That's another thing. But what about the citizens that live here? And you're taking care of the citizens, and that's important. And I want to thank you so much, because so many times we work in a job and we go home and we don't do anything. But El Cajon, that's what makes us special. We are El Cajon. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Real quick, yeah, thank you so much. You guys volunteering your time. You work in the city, and then you go volunteer in the city. I mean, I'm sure you guys want to go home after work and be with your families, but wow, thank you very much. And what timely opportunity to serve these kids who their parents are probably strapped for supplies because of COVID, because they either got laid off or or reduced hours. And so your vision, so Graham and Vince, thank you very much for your vision. Thank you for this team right here and the others who, I think there's a couple there that weren't here. Thank you for spearheading it and everyone that volunteered and the donors. We really appreciate that. That shows a lot of character in our staff, and I love meeting more staff every day. And we got a really great team here, and I want to make sure that you notice that you guys are special. So thank you.
Thanks for just a variety of projects, from cleaning up to helping kids out. There's a bunch of stuff that really adds value to this community. That's really cool. Your presentation was so motivating. I think I want to come work, on a project or something. So, great job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for what you do. You've gone above and beyond. I really appreciate it.
All right, thanks again, everybody. We will see you again soon. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and continue on with consent items. We are now on consent items. Consent items are routine matters enacted by one motion according to the recommendation listed below. With the concurrence of the City Council, a council member or person in attendance may request discussion of a consent item at this time. Council members, do you wish to pull any of the consent items? Staff?
No, sir.
I'll make a motion then to approve the consent items.
Second.
Please vote.
And for the record, sir, there were no comments received
Thank
for
you.
consent items, and motion carries by unanimous vote.
Appreciate that. All right, that brings us to public comment. At this time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council, Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency that is not on the agenda. Comments relating to items on today's agenda are to be taken at the time the item is heard. State law prohibits discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, City Council and Housing Authority members may briefly respond to statements or questions, and an item may be placed on a future agenda. Angela, do we have any cards for public comment?
No comments were received, sir.
Okay. There are no written communications and no public hearings on today's agenda. We have 2 administrative reports on today's agenda. Item 12 is regarding the state's redistricting commission, and I'd like to ask our city manager to please inform us about this.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Just like the city of El Cajon and the county of San Diego, the state of California is going through its redistricting. As you know, based on the census data, the state lost 1 congressional seat, so there's a need to do some redrawing of boundaries. And this is done through the the California Redistricting Commission. So today's agenda item, I really wanted to present, or actually seek direction from the council on what level of involvement you want city staff to be engaged with this process, present some maps for city council consideration, and then the staff report also addresses the use of a consultant. During the last meeting, there was some discussion about how much staff time would be involved. We're calculating very little amount of staff time, given really the short deadlines by which we need to accomplish everything. And a lot of the work that has been done thus far and will continue to be done will be through our city interns. The other thing is the city of Santee is a little bit ahead of us on pumping out information on social media, and so they're sharing some of their messaging with us, so that will help save some time as well. I would not recommend at this time utilizing a consultant. I don't think, given really a week to 2 weeks worth of time from them is probably worth it, and thus far no other cities that are in sort of our same boat are interested in working with this firm. So with that, I'd like to go over a few important dates. Between now and November 15th, or by November 15th, the Redistricting Commission is to release preliminary maps, which we don't know how closely they'll be aligned with some of the conceptual maps that they've distributed, which I will share in a second. But assuming those are the case, these are not good maps for the city of El Cajon. Between November 15th and December 1st, they'll be receiving public comment or accepting public comment. Then final maps will be published no later than December 23rd, with final maps adopted on January 22nd. So they're moving pretty quickly through their process. So let me just share with you a couple maps. As you recall, the commission is looking at state assembly, state senate, and congressional district maps. So this first map shows the city of El Cajon being in an assembly district. Again, this is the conceptual map released by the California Redistricting Commission. This would have the city of El Cajon in a district with La Mesa, Spring Valley, or not even Spring Valley, Lemon Grove, La Presa, and then East San Diego. It would actually separate us from Rancho San Diego, and if you consider the community of interest of Middle Eastern residents, it really divides up that community of interest. It also separates this portion of East County with Lakeside and Santee, Ramona, and Alpine, other important communities in East County. So this is just sharing this also. This does not include El Cajon, but I just wanted to show how this conceptual map would affect Santee and Lakeside. As you can see, Lakeside and Santee would include areas around Miramar, all the way shoot down. The major corridors of the 805 and the 15 include areas of Tierra Santa, San Carlos, all the way to 32nd Street, downtown San Diego, Balboa Park, Hillcrest, that whole North Park, that whole area would be included as part of Santee. So if you really think of East County as a community of interest in and of itself, represented by one high school district, 2 water districts, we collaborate on almost everything. This would completely split up that community of interest and put us with other communities that we historically do not have a relationship with. So the Lakeside Chamber of Commerce and the Escondido Chamber of Commerce have actually sat down, and they've actually drawn some other alternative maps. And there's an effort to get communities that would be behind these maps. As you can see, the city of El Cajon shows up. I'm going to point it, and it doesn't work because it's pointing at a light. But we would be in that tan area that would really be a true East San Diego entire county assembly district. And this probably aligns more with our historic nature. It does separate us from La Mesa and Lemon Grove, but it keeps us with Santee, with Rancho San Diego, with Poway, all the way up portions of Escondido. Looking at the state senate district, the commission's conceptual, this would have the city of El Cajon. I have a hard time reading my little writing here, but it would have us again separated from much of East County. It would have us continue with Lemon Grove and La Mesa and push us into a district with San Diego, and it would include Poway in our district. Again, looking at the Lakeside Escondido Chamber of Commerce, this again would create more of an East County district that would keep us segregated from Lemon Grove and La Mesa, but it would include all the way up into Escondido, parts of San Marcos, and all of much of East County. The last commission map I'll share with you is a congressional district map, which includes El Cajon, Lakeside. It does include Rancho San Diego, La Mesa, Lemon Grove, and then kind of follow down the 125 and connecting down into National City. Again, historically not our community of interest. So the same group, the Lakeside Chamber of Commerce and the Escondido Chamber of Commerce, have put together 2 possible maps. I'll share the non-preferred first, but this would be a map that would include all of East County as we traditionally know it. It would include Poway, Ramona, and Escondido all the way up to the county border to the north and all the way to the county border to the east. El Cajon is circled in the red. Their actually preferred map includes El Cajon with the communities similar to communities that we just talked about. It would include Alpine. It would exclude Ramona, but it would include Escondido and San Marcos in this. It would also include Poway. And it'd be a sort of a different cut of the county. So with that, I think staff's looking for some direction on one. Is there a preferred map that we shared this evening? Does the council like the Lakeside Escondido maps? Or would you like us to draw some alternative maps? I would only warn you, at some point, you can only draw so many maps, and there's some value of coalescing around a map that's better than the one that we're fearful that the commission will put forward. Also, some time commitment to engage with our neighboring cities, put out some social media, encouraging public comment, and then also sort of us arranging council members and staff and community members to engage in the public comment process. So with that, staff's looking for any direction that the council wishes to provide.
Okay, council, any questions?
Well, can I make a comment?
You can do whatever you want, yeah.
Okay. I much prefer the Escondido Lakeside Chamber of Commerce maps, and because when you talk about communities of interest, we don't have a whole lot in common with some of those coastal communities. The further west you go, the less East County you get. And I think, we have a lot of things in common with Santee, Lakeside, Rancho San Diego. Again, I think it's important that we don't split up our Middle Eastern community. We're still a lot like Escondido when you look at the demographics. This is a relatively rural area in East County, and even though we're a little bit more urban than some of them, but I think the values of East County would be diluted the further you go west.
Okay, anybody, Phil?
Yeah, no questions. Thank you, staff, for your time on this. I agree with Councilman Kendrick. I would tend to agree and prefer the Escondido and Lakeside Chambers of Commerce. I don't want to thank them for getting on this and putting these maps out as quickly as possible. There's some similarities in East County, San Diego, and North County, San Diego, with respect to rural versus urban. And I don't see the committee's maps reflecting that as a community of interest. And anyone that's lived in San Diego for any number of years knows East County is its own region, so much so that our Chamber of Commerce is named the East County Chamber of Commerce. And another thing is I think some tribal nations are divided in these committee maps that are presented. So that breaks up that community of interest, as well as Councilman Kendrick said, and our city manager said, our Middle Eastern population extends out into Rancho San Diego and in Hamul area. We've been hearing from them that they don't want to be divided, so I think we need to take that into consideration as well. So I would say we need to be supporting in those two maps, but also in word stating our communities of interest, which include those cities and areas: El Cajon, Santee, Lakeside, Alpine, Poway, Rancho San Diego, Ramona, Julian. And so if the committee doesn't approve of this map that we have, they still know the communities of interest that make up East County. So they can take that into consideration, because from what I understand, they're dealing with the whole state. So if we move something in our region, it's going to move up to Irvine and the other Orange counties and the other counties. So I think it's not an either or, it's a both and is where I would want to put my opinion strongest. So I don't know if it's appropriate to the best course of action. Do we have a resolution? Could we have a resolution or a state of resolution saying we support this map that takes into consideration these communities? Or how would we best voice our opinion on which maps and communities we want to be together?
To get on the record in time for the public comment period, it would almost have to be a special meeting in order to adopt a resolution. I don't know, and I don't know how much more powerful a resolution would be than each of you commenting and communicating with the commission. But I don't know their process. I don't know which would have more weight. I think that would be up to you to kind of decide whether you want to do a resolution or not.
But with time frames, you're saying that it probably wouldn't work out because they're rapidly going through
You
this
would have
process.
to have a special meeting to meet that deadline.
Yeah. Please.
Okay, I have already prepared this. The East County region of San Diego County is a valid community of interest, sharing historically agricultural roots as well as common values. The rural cities and unincorporated areas in this region must be kept together and grouped with other similar communities. For clarification, this region includes, but is not limited to, the following communities: Alpine, Bonsall, Borrego, Campo, Potrero, Dulzura, Boulevard, Descanso, El Cajon, Julian, Santee, Lakeside, Poway, Ramona, Ranchita, Jacamba, and Santa Isabel. You should also consider keeping the East County Kumeyaay tribes together. And that's my opinion.
I sit down. Gary?
Well, I think the Escondido Lakeside Chamber map comes very close to what I think would be a workable, ideal district. And I think we ought to jump on that wagon. So I think, from what I hear tonight, it looks like everybody would be pretty close to favoring that. I see all these heads bobbing up and down, so I assume that's the case. So I think that a resolution and a letter from the city would be great. I don't mind attending a special meeting. I think this is that important.
But Gary, you can go on right now and go on wedrawthelines.ca.gov and the community and put your comments in there and post as an El Cajon City Council member. That's what I did.
Right, but I think that if the city had a resolution, that would be newsworthy.
Okay.
So
Whatever you guys want to do.
I want to go on record with the strongest statement that we can make that will be covered in the news and let everyone in El Cajon and East County know where we stand. And I think we should talk to our friends in Santee about it too. Yeah, maybe we do I think that would be a good idea.
I support the Escondido and Lakeside Chamber maps as well. I submitted my comments yesterday online as a council person. My comments were centered around there's so much that defines East County. Our high school district is all in East County. Our elementary school districts are all in East County. Our hospital district, our community college district, our wastewater situation, our water districts, they're all East County. We already have this personality of working together in East County, and it would not make sense to break that up and keep these other places the same, so I support the Lakeside Escondido map.
Yeah, I think those comments that Councilmember Goebel said should be included in the resolution. It's really important because I can get on the phone and I know the individuals that are on the different districts. We all do. And we work together.
Graham, what would the logistics be of a special meeting?
We just need to figure out a time that would meet with your schedules. I think.
When do we have to have this done by?
Well, December 1st is when comments need to be submitted. So we would need a special meeting between now and December 1st.
Oh, okay.
So we have time.
That's fine. Yeah, let's, It's
But
okay,
if the
as long as
goal,
there's 4 of us.
but if the goal is to kind of generate a buzz and get other people involved, you probably don't want to wait until the first, right? Because you want to do it sooner and then utilize that as a leverage tool to get more people engaged.
I'll leave it to you to work with the council members, make sure at least 4 of us can be here. And hopefully we'll do that next week. Let me ask if there's any public comments on this.
No comments were received, sir.
Okay. So, Graham, do you need any more direction than that? Anybody else need to make any more statements?
No, I think that's helpful. And now that we've heard the council's preference, we can start putting out press releases, social media. We'll get a meeting together, put together a resolution. If council members have submitted comments already to the commission, getting those comments in written form would be helpful, and we can incorporate some of those concepts into a resolution.
Great. Okay, then. We'll move on. The last administrative report, item 13, is regarding the relaxation of certain zoning code standards. I'll ask staff to introduce this item. Hi, Tony.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. Last year, at the beginning of the COVID pandemic, the City Council allowed businesses to take advantage of their outdoor areas to operate in parking lots and other areas that were deemed safe and accessible. City Council also indicated that businesses could display temporary signs to let the public know that they were still open for business. And they also waived the temporary use permit fee to allow staff to work with these businesses to program their outdoor areas due to capacity limitations within their businesses inside, such as restaurants and salons, et cetera. And on April 13th of this year, City Council formally recognized these measures with the adoption of a resolution which has a sunset date of at the end of the year, December 31st. Council is probably aware that the state of California reopened the economy on the 15th, and with that, businesses were allowed to fully reopen, and capacity limitations and distance requirements had ended, done away with. Here in El Cajon, most businesses that were operating outdoors are now operating indoors. Some still continue to operate outdoors as well as operate indoors, and businesses continue to display temporary signs. And the last temporary use permit that was applied for to program outdoor areas was in March of this year, none since. And so the staff, with that, staff is asking if the City Council wishes to extend the relaxation of certain zoning standards, and there's a resolution that's part of this report for your consideration and adoption if you wish to do so. That would be for an additional 6 months from January 2022 to June 30th, 2022.
Tony, are there any negatives to extending?
Well, for a handful of businesses, no, I don't think there are really, in my opinion, any negatives. It'll just give businesses an opportunity to continue what they're doing to the end of June.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, council, questions or comments?
Question. So I know the city of San Diego had issues with their temporary use permits, and they were, businesses had spent tens of thousands of dollars building outdoor seating, and then they took them away to put in bike paths or whatever. Have we had any problems with these businesses in El Cajon, that type of temporary use?
Mayor and Council, no, because in the city of San Diego that has been referenced in the right-of-way, so they've reprogrammed part of the right-of-way. Here in El Cajon, it was in parking lots and in pedestrian areas on private property.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why we can't continue for another 6 months. Give them an additional 6 months to recoup losses and calm fears down of patrons that may be hesitant to go inside but still want to eat at that business.
Anybody else?
I agree with Council Member Mitchell. A lot of businesses right now are really on the ropes. They They lost a lot of businesses during the height of COVID. They put a lot of money into outdoor heaters and tents, and I'd like to see them be able to amortize that over a while. So I would actually like to do it for a couple of years so they can get some of that investment back. And they're having trouble getting employees now. I talked to the owner of Hacienda Casablanca, and she told me that on weekends they're packed and they need the outdoor business. And I went there, I think it was last Friday night, and they had quite a few people that wanted to eat outside. And a lot of people are still concerned about COVID, and the more money the business makes, the more money we get in sales tax revenue to pay for police and fire and paramedics and all those things that we really need in this city. And, I'd like to see them be able to pay themselves back a little bit on all these things they've done to try and stay in business. So I would say that we do it for a couple of years. I mean, we're not getting complaints, are we, Tony?
No, council member, I'm not familiar with any complaints about these businesses. And to reiterate, there's only a handful of businesses that are using their outdoor areas.
Yeah, and one thing business likes is certainty. They need to know what the rules are. And so let's give them a couple years where they have some certainty, because they're buying things. I've been to some outdoor places that are just absolutely beautiful. It looks better outdoors than it does indoors. So, and we've got the kind of climate that supports that just about year round.
Yes?
So I agree in extending it. June 30th is kind of like in the middle of the summer, so it seems like you should do it at the beginning of the summer or the end of the summer or at the end of the year. So I guess I could go till next December 2022. That would have given them almost a full 2 years of outdoor operations, and we could reconsider at that point. One of my concerns is stuff on the ground and who's going to monitor that, because I have been to some places and seen spilt ketchup and spilt sodas and just natural things that happen with the restaurant environment, and we don't want that to be an attraction for pests, birds, rodents, things like that. So how are we going to ensure the public health maintains its good standard if we extend this outdoor period? But I can see extending it perhaps through the end of 2022 and then reconsidering it again at that time.
Sure. Graham, do you have any objections to that? Or?
No, we don't have objections to that. I think we would want some direction on signage if you want to end signage sooner, if you want to continue that. I haven't heard any formal complaints, but I see people starting to comment a little bit more about the feather signs that you see. So that could be something you may want to consider.
Feather signs?
Those tall, almost banner signs.
Yeah.
So that may be something you may want to consider, or if it's not harming anybody, keep it going. But I'm starting to hear some comments about it just in the community.
Well, the signage is the other part of that, and as time goes on and sun's out, these signs become faded and tattered, and we saw some banners in Prescott Promenade that needed to be removed. So originally the idea behind the extra signage was, hey, we're open. And I think most everybody knows we're open at this point, so I don't know that we need the same time length for the banners and the A-frames on the sidewalk and the feather flags as we do having the outdoor seating.
Bill?
Yeah, I tend to agree with my colleagues. Anything we can do to help out businesses, because just because the economy is reopened doesn't mean that these businesses are still in a good financial position. And what I have seen occurring are business or restaurants closing on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yes, that's happening.
And I mean, that's really, I think, a combination of people not going out to eat, staff shortages, keeping staff so they can have enough hours. And so these businesses are really operating only 5 days a week. And so maximizing the times when people are out wanting to eat on Friday, Saturday nights, maximizing the employees that are that can work to retain them, I think is extremely beneficial. Anything we can do to help them maximize those eating nights of the week, because the last thing we want is for them to close Wednesday nights and then to close, and they're only open on the weekend. So I'd be in full support of extending it into 2022 and however long the council feels we need to, and then revisiting it. The signs, yeah, if it's not hurting anybody, let them keep them up. If they start to get tattered and they look unsightly, then we can address it at that time.
Tony, can you still address signs that are falling into disrepair?
Absolutely. In the motion that's in front of you, the resolution that's in front of you has a end date of June 30, 2022 with the relaxation of these standards. So if there's a motion to extend that, we'll need that part of your motion, acknowledge that in the resolution, and we can make those adjustments. And if there's any changes to the relaxation of the zoning standards such as signage, we'll need that in your motion as well.
Right. Tony, I think we're finished. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Let me see if there's any comments from the public.
Sir, the only comment we received in support of the item was the email I forwarded to you guys, and that was from the owners of Hacienda Casablanca, Tony and Cindy Gomez. Okay,
great then. So, Council, I think we've all pretty much agreed. Somebody like to? Well, I don't think we even need a motion, right?
Well, we need the date.
The purpose of the resolution is to take a legislative action in order to create this whole program and extend it in this case. So if the date is going to be different, just let us know. We can alter that resolution. As Mr. Shute said, we need to know that in your motion, please.
Well, do you want to make it till December 31st of 2022?
Let's do September 1st, 23. And that way they have another summer and they can plan out a little bit better, if they're going to put in some improvements or at least pay themselves back from the improvements they've already made. I mean, they were putting out money when they had almost no business.
So you want to do it 2 years from now?
Yeah.
If we're going to go into 2023, why not just do it till the end of 2023? If you're going to do 2023, not stop it in September, just go through the whole thing. Either figure out a date.
If I could make a suggestion, I would be more comfortable with just going through the end of 22 and then revisiting.
I like that idea.
I'm good with that.
Okay, let's December 31.
December 31st, 2022.
I'll make a motion to to relax a certain zoning standards through December 31st, 2022, and adopt the rest of the resolution as stated.
Second.
All right, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right. There are no commissioner reports on today's agenda. Item 14 is my activities report, which is as reported. We are now at activities report for the council members. Council member Steve Goebel.
As reported in 2 items. Last Tuesday, Frank Carson and I went down to Heritage Park in Old Town, where the county recognized the city of El Cajon for essentially its Dollar Days promotion and the huge success it's been. So thank you to the council for supporting that, because the county really took notice of that and gave us an award for it, which was great.
Yourself. That's good.
It's a great win for the council and the people of El Cajon. The second item, I'd like to know if we could put on an agenda, if there's the support from my colleagues, to put an item on the agenda to have a resolution to oppose the vehicle mileage tax as defined by Sandag. I think it would be important for us as a city to come out in support of all of our people in El Cajon, who I think this would hurt everyone. And if we can get that on the agenda, if anyone else supports that.
I'd be glad to co-sponsor that with you. I think it's really important that both Steve and I are on Sandag, so I think that's appropriate.
Is it the vehicle mileage tax or vehicle mileage? Can you make a distinction? Because there's two VMTs going through right now, and I think we're opposed to both of them.
Sandags is a vehicle mileage tax or fee, and the county version of VMT is vehicle miles traveled. It's a different thing. So I'm talking about Sandags. What we know is the 2.3 cents per mile tax, which they're trying to pass as a fee rather than, unilaterally with no vote, which is even more crazy.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that on the agenda.
Okay. Staff?
We can add that to the next council meeting in December.
Okay, then. Mayor Pro Tem Gary Kendrick.
I've got a couple additions here. I was invited to a Afghan event here in El Cajon on last Saturday and had great food. The other thing is I know someone that owns a very small mom and pop restaurant, and he was at the food fest, and he said it increased his business substantially. So it was a huge success for his business, and I think we should look at doing that again.
I think so too. I heard nothing but good comments from people about it.
So, Council, we're putting together a memo, kind of an after action report. What worked well, what didn't work well. If we were to propose something similar, what would it look like? You've yet to see the real costs yet, so you budgeted some costs, but we're still putting all those numbers together. You should probably know what those costs are before you say move forward. So let's get that memo in front of you, and I think it'd be a great discussion. We loved the event. I think it was great for our business community. We'd like to see more partnership with our local either Chamber of Commerce or Downtown Partnership. We think they should have a bigger role in it. Those are some of the things that will come out of that memo.
Okay.
That sounds very reasonable. All right, then. Mr. Phil Ortiz?
Mine are as reported.
Councilmember Mitchell?
Mine is reported, and I also have a little addition. Why not? I finished up the Citizens Police Academy this week, and I went on a ride-along on Saturday night, and I just want to tell the chief back there and captain and let them know that your staff is wonderful. The interaction that I had with the officers that I rode along with, I ended up having to ride along with two of them due to a particular case, and they were wonderful, very informative, looked out for my safety. And I just want to say that as soon as we have a date for the April class for the Citizens Police Academy, that I will definitely be promoting it, because I really honestly feel that every citizen needs to go through this training. Anyone who has any condemnation for the police department should go through here and just see how they interact. We had a couple of really exciting drives through the county, and was very thankful to be riding in the Suburban with the handle at the side. But being a former EMT, I appreciated that little walk down memory lane when what it feels like to drive lights and sirens. But thank you, Chief. I think you've got a great core of people. Actually, the whole department was very helpful. I enjoyed speaking with the sergeant, and while I was waiting for my next ride along, and it was a great experience. I'm just like still excited about it. It really shows what happens in our city at night. My first ride along was on a Sunday morning, and that was kind of like, But Saturday night definitely shows that we have some action going on here when I'm asleep most of the time. So thank you very much for that opportunity. And anybody who's listening, if you get a chance to do this Citizens Police Academy, please sign up. You will learn so much, and it is just an excellent educational opportunity.
Great. Okay, there are no joint council member reports and no general information items on today's agenda. There are no first or second readings of ordinances on today's agenda, and we are now at closed session, and our city attorney will recite the title and lead us into the closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council is going to adjourn to closed session on one item, a conference with legal counsel on existing litigation pursuant to paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code section 54956.9. It's for one existing case, national prescription opiate litigation. It doesn't have a versus type of thing because it's a class action matter out of the Northern District of Ohio.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion then to go to closed session. Second. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go to closed session and come back quickly to finish the meeting. Thanks. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and I'd like to ask our city attorney to report on what happened in closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and City Council met in closed session on the matter listed in item 19, which is the national prescription opiate litigation out of the Northern District of Ohio. It was determined once the names of some of the parties were stated in closed session that Mr. Goebel might have a conflict of interest because of the ownership of more than $2,000 in stock in one of the defendants. That's Johnson & Johnson, which is a company held by Janssen. So he disqualified himself from participating. But based on the motion of Mayor Wells and seconded by Councilmember Ortiz, I believe, the City Council in a 4-0 vote approved proceeding with participating in the settlement of the class action matter involving 3 distributor companies, McKesson Corporation, Cardinal Health, Inc., and Amerisource Bergen Corporation, and a second settlement with Janssen, which is a manufacturer of the opioids, and authorize the city attorney to execute a subdivision settlement participation form for both the distributor's case and the Janssen case, and also to execute California state subdivision agreements for both the distributor's case and the Janssen case, and that was a 4-0 vote. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to the adjournment, the adjourned regular joint meeting of the El Cajon City Council, El Cajon Housing Authority successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency, held this 9th day of November 2021, is adjourned until Tuesday, December 14th, 2021 at 3 o'clock p.m. Thank you very much.